I'm gonna wait until some people come in the room. Usually I just start spouting off because most of the stuff is recorded. So it's like if you miss it, you can just catch it on the replay. Let me get myself together here. I wanted to do this video really quickly because I get a lot of questions, about Black conservatism, what it means. And I just, I feel like I might as well just knock out a video real quick and just have a little bit of discussion about it. So, first of all, I grew up with a democratic mindset. So, if you grew up in any Black home, family, or whatnot, you were probably told the same thing: vote Democrat because the Democrats are for the Black man and the Republicans are for the rich white man. And they always paint the Democrats as if they were our champions. And so when you grow up in a liberal democratic household, that is pretty much the perspective of life that you have. And as I kind of made my transition and understanding of just social politics, and honestly, that clarity came last year when I moved over to the Black conservative movement. And I was actually looking for something alternative to the Democrats because I felt like they exploited Black people. I really got to the point in my life where I felt like they exploited Black people. I wasn't clear on it at first, but as 2020 developed, I really understood why, the Democrats are responsible for a lot of the Black dysphoria. They are responsible for a lot of the fear that Black people have. And so when I started thinking about, why the Democratic Party has had such a clutch on the Black community, I realized that it was a lot of it is because of critical theories. And we're talking about critical theories now big time, but critical theories have always been sprinkled into the American social contract. And they have been intended to keep individuals sort of in their place in society. So when you think about it, and I always tell people the best example of systemic racism is when you teach a child about their history from a very negative perspective. And then you create policies that marginalizes their possibilities to be able to actualize and become something in this American social contract. And then they see these individuals, they see the disparities when they leave. So you teach them about slavery, all kinds of pangs and transgressions of Blacks, and then you send them out. Send these kids out so that they can see their at risk, high crime areas and believe it. And when I think about all the things that have been said and all the people who are talking, a lot of these individuals, and I say, and I have to correct myself because I say I don't listen to Blacks over 50. I don't listen to some Blacks over 50 because I feel like older Blacks have literally neglected their duty to own the Black narrative. They have literally left it to the Democratic Party to own. Older Blacks have been responsible for fostering critical theories, mindsets into next generation Blacks. Whether they were doing it out of the goodness of their hearts, I don't, I'm pretty sure they were well intentioned. You got to be careful for this experience. But what they failed to do was put their own experiences into perspective so that when they relate them to next generations, and I would say some of them, they didn't do it in a way that progressed the mindset. So when I look at, the influences that next generation Blacks have, I'm not telling you don't listen to the valuable things that your elders tell you. What I'm telling you is that when it comes to social politics, that is when I believe that you can go mute because they have not owned the Black narrative enough to be able to take your whole political perspective from an older Black. And a lot of them are addicted to pains and transgressions, again, that they themselves have experienced organically. But these are things that you will not experience because America, despite what anybody wants to say, no matter how the Democrats want to demonstrate that this country has not changed and we're still in the 1960s mindset, America has changed. Most newer generation Blacks, they don't experience racism to the degree that a lot of these older Blacks, a lot of these indoctrinated Blacks who get paid to foster this narrative, the go along, get along gang. That's basically what it is. Black people have been duped by their own people, the go along, get along gang that happen to be supporters of the Democrats, paid by the Democrats. Lyndon B. Johnson said that Blacks will be voting, or niggas will be voting Democrats for the next 200 years. How do you think that Johnson planned on having that happen? They had to psychologically screw our generations into psychologically screwing next generations into believing that Blacks are marginalized, that Blacks have continuous struggles, that Blacks have continuous pains, all the while these people are maintaining it. I always tell people the Democrats would be nothing without racism. They would be nothing without the Black struggle. It's almost an addiction for them. Because if they didn't have Black struggle, then they really wouldn't have anything to run on. You can't use racism when you have a class of people who have decided that they were going to reject that mindset and progress themselves around any obstacle that racism could create. And that's basically what I wanted to say really quickly to my new school Blacks is listen to your elders when it comes to sound life advice. But when it comes to making it in the social contract that is America, own your own narrative. Own your own narrative, own your own experience. Don't let older individuals, mainstream rhetoric, psych you into believing that your skin color is going to be an inhibitor for you in this country, because there are too many Blacks that have demonstrated that that is not true. Newer generations should really be focused on policies and the history of policies and the histories of these parties. You're going to start observing, and I'm just putting it out there as an obligation to newer Blacks. You need to start looking at the patterns. Look at your life before political season. Look at your life during political season. Look at your life after political season. Look at your life between the party administration when you have a Democratic, establishment running things, and when you have a Republican establishment running things. I'm not telling Black people to vote Republican. I'm not telling Black people to be Republicans. I'm telling Black people to be politically neutral. Blacks should be politically neutral. We should only vote on policies that make sense to our own growth, just like any other American. If it's not in the best interest of us in terms of our economical situation, we should not have any type of party loyalty. When you look at all the things that the Democratic Party touts about Black people, they make us look like we are children. They make us look like we're incapable. These are the front faces, the people that we are electing to represent us, and they're narrating the Black community like they're children, incapable of getting an ID, incapable of going and voting, needing to have lower educational standards, not needing to be challenged like any other student. It's so interesting. Last summer, I posted Thomas Sowell, and I couldn't believe how many white guys knew who Thomas Sowell was, but how many Blacks did not. And it's interesting because the white guys are getting the best part of the Black American experience, and we're getting the Black struggle. The people that are funded, that we get, the books that we read, these are all by Blacks that are paid to talk about the Black struggle, not put the Black struggle and the Black history into perspective. And so I tell people, look at who you're voting for. Look at who your champions are. Listen to what they're saying about you. Listen to the policies that they're putting out that are supposed to be in your favor. You realize that Democrats are the most detrimental thing to Black people than Black people themselves, depending on the mindset. Democrats are terrible for Black people. Democrats would be nothing without the struggles of Black people or some other group that they can exploit. Democrats are not these broke people that care about everybody. They're not our friends. They put out a lot of money last year to tear up our neighborhoods. They're funders, Democratic funders. Republicans, I don't know a lot of Republicans that were supporting Black Lives Matter, supporting the destruction, but hey, they could have, because Republicans ain't shit either. But the Democrats were the cheerleaders for the chaos. They were the ones justifying it, saying that it was peaceful when all these Black neighborhoods were being torn up. Black Democrats and white Democrats. These are mostly peaceful protests as they take capital out of Black communities, as they take equity out of Black communities. The Democrats are pushing this ignorance. They make Black people look ignorant every single time. All they gotta do is pop a police lynching on us. And if you haven't seen my video on open season, check it out. Because this stuff is calculated. And Black people need to start realizing the patterns. And if older generation Blacks fail to realize those patterns, I at least want new generation Blacks to be up on game, that we are being leveraged. Black America is constantly being leveraged for an agenda typically that does not serve us. That's why the Asians anti-hate bill got passed real quick. They want to throw Juneteenth on our asses as if like that shit makes any sense. And they constantly rewriting Black history. Constantly. Most of the Blacks that do liberal arts to talk about Black dysphoria and all that stuff, these people aren't talking about Black progress. They are being paid to talk about Black marginalization. That's why when the Central Park 5 movie came out, Ava DuVernay just decided to do a movie about the Central Park 5, in which Donald Trump wrote an article about the Central Park 5 and how these boys should have been executed, right? This was the way that they could build the narrative that Trump was racist, right? So she popped that movie out, got everybody all emotionally charged, right? Everybody's, and with all those emotions, it made them hate Donald Trump even more. You don't think that stuff is calculated? Black people bought into Roots. And if you kind of look at all these little backers and then all the people giving out the prizes, they're Democrats, they're liberals, they're socialists, right? Roots was a fucking lie. Alex Haley had to walk back a lot of the lies that he said in that book, but he walked it back after he got a Pulitzer Prize for it, after he inflamed Black people. I remember my mom telling me the first time that she saw Roots. And she said that she was working at Detroit Edison. DTE used to be Detroit Edison. And she said that she got along with all of her white coworkers. Everybody was cool there, no issues. They had some prejudiced people there, but, it was in the 70s. So we were all kind of getting acclimated to being all Americans instead of there being some disparities, supposedly, after civil rights. But she said after she saw that movie, she couldn't even look at the white people the same. She was so angry. So angry. And you think about all these Black sort of centered struggle movies, cinemas, books. This stuff is by design. This stuff is to keep Black people in a state of marginalization, fear. And this is all orchestrated by liberals, Democrats. Oh, you should never forget Black history. How the hell can I forget Black history? Black people won't let me forget Black history, and y'all damn sure don't want to forget it because y'all need it. And that is what I want Black people, newer generation Blacks, because the older generation of Blacks, they up on game. They are up on game. I hear how some of them are talking. They're coming to the same realization that a lot of us, thankfully, have come to before we're 40. They say when you're younger, you're a liberal. When you get older, you kind of be more conservative. I made that switch really quickly, thank God. But a lot of even the older Blacks now, they're talking about it and they're feeling kind of regretful. I've had several older Blacks apologize to me after we went back and forth, because I said, she's like, you're disrespectful. And I said, you did not own our narrative. You left it to the Democrats. And that's why they can exploit us anytime they want with the same damn things. Same damn things. All they got to do, political season, we don't think Black people are going to show up to vote for us. Let's pop some police lynchings on them. Yeah. And again, the FBI already know that the KKK was trying to infiltrate all these police departments. So don't act like they weren't successful. They were. And the Democrats, the KKK was founded by Democrats. And people keep saying, oh no, the party switched. No, the KKK was founded by strong Democrats. Okay? Democrats. And the parties didn't change ideology just because a couple of Dixiecrats went over to the Republican Party. Let's be real about this shit. The Republican Party had no problem passing the Civil Rights Act because they were tired of the bullshit. The Democrats wanted that shit to linger on forever. That's why they asses was filibustering the Civil Rights Act for 75 days. It's funny, they want to get rid of the filibuster, and they asses, the Democrats, know your history. Know your history. The Democrats filibuster the Civil Rights Act for 75 days. Not the Republicans. They couldn't even pass it without the Republicans. Think about this stuff. Affirmative action. Minimizing the standards for Blacks because they believe that we are beneath. They don't want us to achieve to equitable heights. This is the Democrats. And then people wanted to talk about how George Bush was so racist because he wanted to get rid of affirmative action. Like half of these people didn't even understand what affirmative action was and how marginalizing it was to a lot of Blacks. And how it really set up a lot of Blacks to fail. People don't realize that. This is like a kale, man. I don't even know if these people are like tropical smoothie. I ain't even trying to endorse, but this thing is slap. But yeah, people need to really start thinking about, just things that super impact their lives. I hear a lot of people talk about, I don't want to talk about politics. Oh, I don't like talking about politics. How could you not want to talk about something that impacts your life so much? I mean, I feel like people talk about the most mundane things, but when they talk about the things that actually impact them, like politics and policies, they act like they just cannot hear it. All the while, people are being swayed into making the same damn voting decisions every single time. Black people are over 90% doing the same damn thing. Voting for Democrats over 90% of the time, most times. And we are expecting a different outcome. Newer generation Blacks understand that the Democrats are not our friends. Okay? I don't know how to say it. I mean, history has told us that the Democrats are not our friends. They are like those crazy ass people that are looking for dopamine by helping somebody that they think is lowlier than them. You ever hear that saying, there's always somebody that got it worse than you? Well, in their case, it's Black people all the time. And they prey on our ignorance. They bank on our ignorance. That's why they can run around Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer in kente cloth, because they believe that they are Black slave owners. Because kente cloth was the adorned textile of the West African kings. They owned slaves. They had Black slaves. It's just that those Blacks didn't have an idea of a concept of Blackness, right? They had a concept of the class system. But Democrats running around with kente cloth on, and Black people thinking that was a stand in solidarity. It was not. It was a mockery of ignorance. It was a mockery of ignorance. And that is basically what Democrats, that state of mind that they want Black people in. They want us in an ignorant state of mind. When they start talking about changing the education and making it more equitable, Black people's red flags should go up. Because every time they want to change something to supposedly benefit Black people, it only marginalizes us. Affirmative action marginalized us. It basically lowered our standards, therefore lowering our capability to be able to compete like other people in this country. And Black people don't realize that. The Democrats are not our friends. They're not our friends. And stop letting these older Blacks make you believe that they are. They're being paid. They're the go along, get along gang. Go along, get along gang is not just stopping at Black Hollywood, my babies. Go along, get along gang is Black politics. You can't blame racism. You cannot blame racism when your Democratic politicians are Black. And then they want to talk about, well, racism caused me not to be able to do my job. Bullshit. You were planted in that position so that Black people can see a Black person there, but you ain't about to do shit. Democrats are not our friends. Look at Lori Lightfoot out in Chicago. Look at all those brothers dying right now. Look at the gang violence. You think Democrats are our friends? Let me see the FCC start pumping the brakes on some of this violent ass music that they bumping in our hoods, inspiring, pipering our brothers to go out and kill themselves and kill each other. Black genocide. Democrats are not our friend. Anytime you have the mayor of Chicago, a Black woman, a Black Democrat, Black woman, them, he, sure, her, them. I don't know what she's done, what that is, but she's a Democrat, and she's saying defund the police. And I said this last year when they started talking that nonsense. I'm like, defund the police is a code for Black genocide. They want Black people out here killing each other unchecked. And Lori Lightfoot now talking about, oh, we need the federal government. Oh no, Trump tried to help your ass last year and you didn't want his help. You said you got it. All the while, more Black men died, killing each other in pointless gang beefs and rivalries. You're not doing your job. That's what's up. Democrats, whether they're Black or white, they ain't doing their jobs for us. They are not. They thrive off of having problems. They thrive off of being able to pay for programs to support problems that they created. That they are big spenders. They don't care about the economy. You got to understand, when you're dealing with a party that overspends and don't care about the economic structure of our country like the Democrats, you got to know they don't care about you. You got to know that they don't care about you. They are not our friends at all. And like I said, older Black people, They keep talking about, I'm tired of being tired. Well, how the hell are you tired of being tired when you done convince all these generations of blacks to vote Democrat, vote the same damn way? Same damn way. Somewhere, and you know what's really messed up is that this is how I knew that Black Lives Matter was a Democrat organized Marxist movement. Because these motherfuckers have been around since 2012. Trayvon Martin was the first time I believe they came on the scene. Now, in order to start your own political party, you need to have national attention and funding. That group had all of that. Why is it that they did not have their own candidate ready? Why have they not petitioned the FEC? Kanye West petitioned the FEC to run in the 2020 election. You mean to tell me that Black Lives Matter is so legit in helping Black people that they could have started their own political party and raised their own damn candidate? That's how I knew they're Democratic ops. They're Democratic ops, just like all these other organized riot groups. They come in. Democrats love a guy named Saul Alinsky. Saul Alinsky. Check him out. You know, The Rules of Chaos. He was a Marxist. They love him. Obama loved Saul Alinsky. He wrote a college paper on him. Hillary Clinton did too. Saul Alinsky believed in chaos and opportunity. Fuck shit up to get what you want. And they know the best way to do that, the best group in this country to get somebody to fuck shit up is Black people, right? But think about it. They're talking about social injustice, inequality, and all this stuff. But you know what those Democratic ops won't do? They won't have their droves of people go into a white neighborhood and burn it down. Nah, Democrats don't want that. They're going to have you go into the Black neighborhood. Democrats are racist, all right? They're some of the most racist people on this planet. And let me tell you a little bit of experience about why I feel like they are the actual white supremacists. Because when I went over to the Black conservative movement last year, and if you want to know more about the Black conservative principles, hit me up and I'll definitely share them with you. But I moved over to the Black conservative movement. And I took on my conservative perspective and I started talking about aspects of the arguments that just did not make any sense. Do you know that these white people, these Democratic white people, were coming at me telling me that I should remember my ancestry and that I should go to ancestry.com and that I should remember civil rights? And I'm asking these people, well, civil rights have been fought for and won. Slavery has been over for a long damn time. What the hell are you trying to get me to keep my mind? What frequency would you like for me to keep my mind at? Struggle, pains, transgressions? These are liberal whites who claim that they care about Blacks, but they want Black people thinking about slavery and civil rights constantly. And Black people think, oh, you know, they're standing next to us. Yay, look at that. Black Lives Matter. They care. These motherfuckers don't care about you. Let me tell you about these liberal white protesters. They're mentally broken people. They have not reconciled their issues. So they deflect their shit onto Black people's struggles because it makes them feel better about themselves. That's basically what liberal white story are. I have a whole article that I wrote a couple of months ago about the Black struggle addiction, and I strictly focus on the white activists. White activists are addicted to Black struggles because they are fucked up people who have not been able to solve their own problems. So dealing with the problems of Black people makes them feel better and live life a little bit better. Democrats have never changed. They have always seen Blacks as inferior. Of course, the Southern strategy was a ruse by academics to whitewash the Dems' racist history. Absolutely true. Absolutely true. And when you think about a lot of these academics today, they are in love with critical race theory because it gives them this colorful, informative way of continuously marginalizing Blacks. There are a lot of academics in this country that are Marxists. There are a lot of academics in this country that are undercover racists. That's what I call people. Good night, Marshall. Thank you for tuning in. I call them undercover racists. That's what they are. They are low-key racists. Some of these people are so damn racist, undercover, they don't even know it. They don't even know how racist they are until they start talking about a Black person and how they should perceive their Black experience in this country. That's when the racists come out. You know, if you ever want to see a racist white liberal come out to play, just put a Black conservative on a mic that makes sense. Y'all saw how they came after Tim Scott? And all the man said was, America isn't racist. And it was a justifiable statement because here's the thing. If I have one racist in my household, does that make my entire family racist? No. No. Tim Scott made a lot of valid points. But what did the Democrats do? They couldn't put their white anchors on his ass because they don't want to get their inner racism out. So they put the Black people on him to say exactly what they wish that they could say to this Black man. Liberal media, liberal arts, all of that shit is run by Democrats. Democrats. So if they want to give us a face front, a beacon of struggle, they'll throw a Stacey Abrams at our asses because they don't want us to have heroes. They don't want us to have real beacons. Like Kobe Bryant was a beacon of Black excellence. Michael Jordan, beacons of Black excellence. You know what I mean? Lots of young boys, young girls, everybody, like, they look up to these guys, right? But then you look at like people like Stacey Abrams, right? She was a loser. And yet they keep pushing her ass because Stacey Abrams is the next Al Sharpton. He's getting too old for his job. So they're going to need somebody to come in, the next generation of race peddlers, to tout this shit to the next generation of Blacks. Democrats are not our friends. I don't care if they look like us or not. And I encourage all Black people to think about their own personal Black American experience and then listen to a lot of these people's rhetoric. They are trying to keep you in a marginalized state of thinking about yourself and your position in this country. They're trying to keep you from believing that all you need to do is get up, show up, and participate in the capitalist system, however you want to do it, whether you're working for a corporation or you handling your own business. Black people can compete in the capital system. There is nothing inhibiting us from doing that but ourselves. White supremacy is not, I don't give a fuck what nobody say. White supremacy was never a problem for me growing up. Ever. I don't even remember hearing about this bullshit. Systemic racism either. Even as my adult going in, I've never lived in fear of white supremacy. Again, these people are projecting their experiences, recycled experiences, old school experiences, and they're bringing them back into the modern social contract so that Black people can maintain a marginalized mindset. These are mind games. This is not reality. Any Black person can compare their Black American experience and reality to the narratives that they're trying to project, and they will know that they're not congruent. Most people, Black people, don't go into a workplace thinking about racism and all these narratives that the Democrats want us to think about when they want to get something done, like turn this country socialist, and then when it goes to shit, they can blame Black people. That's basically what the fuck is happening. The Democrats are on some radical ass shit, and they needed Black people to give them ultimate power to get this shit through. And they're trying to fuck up this country. They are fucking up America. And let me ask you, a lot of you scorn Black people and talk about America is racist. Where the fuck else were you going to live? Where else is there to live? Where else is Where else do Black people live outside of maybe a native Black country? I'm talking about an integrated country where they live better than Americans. We have so many freedoms in this country that other people do not have. And they are literally making us hate those freedoms. They are leveraging our pangs and our transgressions against us so that we can buy into relinquishing our freedoms. Freedoms. A lot of you people don't really understand what that means. You don't appreciate, my thing is, I'll be honest, I never appreciated the freedoms that I have in this country until now. Now they are literally on the cusp. When you see your country going down a Marxist communist path, and the very people that are supporting this shit don't even fucking know what that means, it infuriates you almost. Most Black people don't know what a fucking Marxist is. They don't know what communism is. They don't know. We are buying into some shit that we are going to regret. Because if we think we fucked up now, let the Democrats keep rolling with this crazy ass shit. They are using Black people to destroy this country. Every socialist program that they pop out for in the name of Black people and equality, they're fucking up this country because we can't afford it. Black people need to start thinking about their country like a corporation. We are $28 trillion in debt. We spend more than we make. You do the fucking math. Do we need another socialist program? The Democrats are fucking this country up, and they're using Black people to do it. They're using Black people's lack of intelligence in the political process, their lack of intelligence on policies and what things mean. They're using that to destroy America. They're banking on our ignorance. They're banking on us being so distracted with dumb shit. Oh, who done canceled today? Oh my God, she tweeted this and blah, blah, blah. All this dumb shit, keeping us marginalized, not focusing on the economics of shit. Sorry, I feel like I just went off, but I can't stand the Democrats. I have a disdain for that party. I'm not for the Republicans. I don't consider myself a Republican. I consider myself a Black conservative. I have a conservative perspective on policies, government, and basically neutral. I'm not a Democrat. I'm a Republican. I'm a person that focuses on policies. And I feel like Black people need to start doing that. And the sooner we start doing it, the better, because they are leveraging us. They are using us. All that demonization of Black people, all that exploitation of Black people last year, and all we walk away with is a Juneteenth bill. They ain't even trying to give Black people reparations. Asians got an anti-hate bill right off rip. Where's the Black anti-hate bill? Why couldn't they just lump that shit in together? Democrats are not your friend, Black people. They're not even close to our friends. Black folk need to study what communist socialism, Marxism done. Here's the thing. I tell people, I actually learned a lot about the Democratic Party through this book. Once you understand, I don't know if people can see that, if it looks clear on my end, right? When you realize what you're dealing with and who you're dealing with, you realize really quickly that the term liberal it was hijacked. They are socialists. Democrats are socialists. They are Fabian socialists. And if you go and you look back at the history of the Fabian Socialist Society and how they started coming into The United States, they knew a couple of Fabian socialists are Marxists. They knew that they could not turn America into a Marxist nation because we were too attached to endearing words like liberty and patriotism. They knew this. 100% they knew it. So what the Fabian socialists did, and if you learn about Fabian, he was, I think he was a general in the Spanish army. And Fabian's army was outnumbered. And so, in order for Fabian to gain victory, he learned that he had to slowly infiltrate his enemies, and it would take a considerable amount of time to do that. So, what Fabian socialists did is they realized that we can take the academic, we can take the entertainment space, all centuries of influences, and we can incorporate some form of demoralization or Marxism. That's why, each generation in America, we have stories about back in my day, things weren't like this, right? Because each generation is getting worse and worse. This is by design. This ignorance, this demoralization, it is by design, okay? You can't take over a country that you haven't demoralized. You can't take over a union. The first step to breaking up a union is breaking up the families within the union. That's why we have seen the degradation of both Black and white families. Because Fabian socialists know structure is the last thing that we need. We can't, if it's structured, we can't break it up. And then they realized we had to get into the academics, right? So critical theories has been infiltrated in academia for a long time, And that's why we have all these recycled discussions. And then they realized that in the entertainment space, we can further demoralize. So when we look at the world today and we look at all these drastic society changes, just understand that this is a slow process to demoralize this nation. So that once we get to the point where we're actually on the cusp right now. When you look at the fact that defund the police basically means to be able to understand why that is bad. You want your state to have sovereignty. I think Ron DeSantis is one of the best examples of a governor who fought for his state throughout the pandemic. Because he had the power to do that. Right now, Ron DeSantis has the power to combat the federal government on anything unreasonable that they impose on their state. Kristi Noem did the same thing. They stood up for their state. They didn't shut down their economies. And their COVID numbers weren't nearly like some of these Democratic states. You think about all of the chaos that we see, most of the time, these are Democratic states, Democratic leadership. These people are not our friends. And like I said, look up Saul Alinsky, check out the Fabian Socialists. If you're interested in learning more about what you're dealing with, we are not dealing with liberals. We're dealing with socialists. That's what they are. They're not our friends. They are not our friends. The Congressional Black Caucus is never even serious about reparations. Here's the thing. I don't understand the Congressional Black Caucus. I don't understand the NAACP. I don't understand why those structures exist and we still continuously talk about the same damn things. I really don't. I'm with you, Joseph. I really don't understand the purpose of a lot of these Black Caucus, Black leadership organizations. To me, it seems and to keep Black people being the face, continuously keeping Black people in a struggle-like mindset. Like those people don't even own themselves. You know what I mean? They're heavily funded by somebody that don't look like them either. You know what I thought was just really interesting? This is how you're in a freaking twilight zone. Because the United Negro College Fund, and this is where Black people were just sounding mad stupid. I hate it when people like first Black this, yay, Black first Black this, and then they really weren't the first. But it's like, yay for Black people. I wish they would stop that Black tokenism stuff. But this one dude wrote an article, and he goes, "Another first for Black people. The United Negro College Fund just hired its first chairman of the board." And it's like, record scratch. Wait, what? The United Negro College Fund just elected its first Black chairman of the board. Bizarre shit. Bizarre shit. Before, I think one of the Rockefellers was the chairman of the board. But I thought it was very interesting that we don't even got the United Negro College Fund. Oh my God, it sucks to be Black sometimes in this country because it's just like, what the fuck are these people doing to us? Anyways, anybody a Democrat in here? Did I offend anybody? I'm sorry if you are a Democrat and this conversation was offensive to you. I just want to let you know that, I think that, you have a right to believe what you want to. I just personally believe that Black Americans need to start taking on a different perspective. You don't have to be Republican, but I think Black people really do need to start leaning more into the conservative space and owning the conservative mindset, which really, in my opinion, will help foster a lot of direction. Check out my website, www.thethoughtcorner.com. I have the Black Blueprint of Success in America. I actually drafted out a blueprint. Talks about the family structure. It talks about self-actualization. I want my Black people smart. I want us intelligent. I don't want us party politicking with the Democrats anymore. I want us actualizing ourselves. One thing I can say about joining the Black conservative movement, I have actualized myself in ways that I could not even imagine. And when I joined it, I literally, I went into the white man's field. I literally switched sectors. I went from automotive, and I'm like, because I was scared to go into the financial space. Like, I don't want to, and it's like, and it just so happens, like, a top firm picked me up and they invested in me. And I actually passed all their pre-licensing exams, transitioned my career. And I'm thinking to myself, the more you actualize yourself and get away from the rhetoric that holds you back, the more opportunities just kind of happen. You talk different. You talk with a different conviction. And I feel like that's what happened to me. I felt like I became absolute last year, just moving over to the Black conservative perspective. I don't have the same mental hangups that I feel like once changed me. You know what I mean? I feel like my rationality has completely uncaged, breaking up with democratic mindsets. And so I encourage others to do the same. You never know. Honestly, possibilities just open up for you. I feel like my true alpha female came out last year, to be honest with you, because being a Black conservative, I don't have those hangups. I look at arguments about the Black community so much more objectively now, and I will pick them apart. I will challenge and debate any person, Black or white, about the Black dysphoria in America today. Because if you come at me with some recycled ass rhetoric that the Democrats have implanted in your brain, I'm going to come at you with several Black American capitalist experiences that says that your hangups require some therapy. Seriously. Anyways, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope this was enlightening for those of you who tuned in. My channel is I talk about every single thing. But as we get closer to different political seasons, 2022 is coming up. Um, we need to get the Democrats out of the we got to get out of power. Okay, we got to get Democrats out of power before they absolutely ruin this country. And we got to check the Republicans, because those little punk ass slimes, they ain't shit either. And you got to watch them and hold them accountable. But there's a carrot that can be dangled with the Republicans to get them to act in formation. And I think if we do this right, the Republicans will play ball a little bit better with Black people, because again, Republicans have no intentions of helping Black Americans. The only thing Republicans are interested in doing is creating opportunities for people to be able to leverage their skills and capabilities. We are a capitalist country. Capitalism rules America. Capitalism will make America continue to be sovereign. If we start relinquishing capitalism, socialism, we are going to be down into a freaking pit. We're going to be some third world bullshit country under the reign of China, which we kind of are. I mean, shit, my apple juice got concentrate from China. Democrats ain't shit too. They're talking about, we're going to be tough on China. I'm like, bullshit. China and Russia just made Joe Biden, they just gave him his balls in his hand. Like, you ain't shit. Go sit your old ass down somewhere. Sleepy ass. Vladimir Putin looking like a real OG. Real OG. And Joe Biden's like, I'm going to be tougher on Putin. Fuck out of here. Anyways, good night, everyone. Have a wonderful day. And again, stay up on your politics. Don't let people feed you your politics. Do your own research. Own your own narrative. And just remember that the Democrats ain't shit.